Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. House Party 5v5. This is the Premier League Season 4 quarterfinals. I'm Thunderdome, and with me I've got Death Club Ace.
Hey guys, and already we've seen this first ban. This is Saw versus PDRK, in case you didn't check. And yeah, first ban, Soraka. Not a huge surprise, honestly. She's been considered really strong. Personally, I think Sona is stronger because Soraka is much easier to catch. She doesn't have any CC that will save her. But, you know, semantics.
Yeah, either way, super strong pick as of right now, and clearly the Dream Killers did not want to deal with it, and that goes for Space Age Wizards. They don't want to see Tahm Kench either. Both of these teams starting off with support bans who are currently pretty OP as far as it goes.
Let me tell you about how Tahm Kench support is not the only way to play Tahm Kench, because he's got a crazy win rate. Like, he's got crazy support win rates, right? But his top and jungle win rates are also off the charts. It's pretty ridiculous, because not only does he do a lot of damage if you build him as a tank, he also can deny entire, like, archetypes of champions. You see the Orianna ban. That is a very strong ban because it makes it so that you can't do a lot of these wombo combo team comps people like to do. It removes one of those, although not all of them.
And Brand being taken off, interesting ban. He's really powerful right now. He's actually being played a lot more often since the new itemization changes. Even though they don't exactly favor him, the masteries themselves do. And Deathfire Touch synergizes great with him. And Elise being taken off the table as well. Super powerful early game jungler. Her cocoon catch potential is just huge. She has a gap closer via repel and still has pretty solid sustain in the jungle. Therefore, you just don't want to deal with her. How do you feel about the Quinn, though?
I was honestly surprised the Quinn didn't get banned out sooner. I think it was more of a case of Saw didn't ban out the Quinn because they wanted to kind of wait to see if it was banned out by TDRK, and vice versa. Neither one wanted to ban it because Quinn is pick or ban. Quinn is going to be nerfed. I will call it right now, 100% guarantee she is being nerfed in some way, shape, or form. Now, we do see the Mundo first pick. Mundo, crazy powerful right now. Hilariously benefited from the tank masteries and such that all came in. There's like 4 different ways you can build Mundo, and all of them are crazy.
Yeah, he's just this unstoppable force. Of course, he goes where he pleases, and the other team has nothing they can do about it but sit there and watch and accept what is happening to them. On the purple side, you've got Braum, who's extremely powerful. He's going to put up some muscle to try to keep Mundo back, give some more defense for his carries with the Unbreakable Wall. And Kindred, I really like her as a champion. Super interesting kit. She's got a lot of utility as well as damage. And the respite from Lamb is pretty awesome in terms of teamfight synergy if they can pull it off correctly.
Well, the thing about Kindred is that they're very strong, particularly whenever you're playing something like Mundo, but I don't know how well that's going to go simply because it takes time to scale up, and the games tend to not last as long anymore. Now, it is a good kind of counterpoint to fighting things like, say, Malphite and the Misfortune, which they didn't pick until after the Kindred came out. But Kindred is in an okay spot. Not too good, but not too bad either. Now, I do briefly want to touch on this Misfortune and Malphite pick. A lot of people are kind of tossing up who's the best AD carry, and I'll say, short of Quinn, Misfortune is in the running for the best AD carry. No pun intended, she does run really fast. But the double up damage is really strong. The ultimate damage is really, really strong after the changes and the buffs. And overall, she just has a lot of damage just packed into her kit while also being able to kite you.
Especially because her ultimate can critical hit now, it just makes her building that normal AD carry, critical strike, attack speed work very well. As opposed to before, you kind of had to build her this weird AD caster mage kind of deal to make her more effective, so Misfortune just all around a lot better character flow between her build path and her itemization.
Honestly, they didn't even need to change a lot of her build. Just making it so that her ultimate scales a lot better from AD, and making it so that the waves could crit was enough. That meant that her building crit was actually good, in addition to, like, buffing her auto attacks. Now, I do briefly want to touch on this, the J4 and the Fizz picks, because these aren't things that we see often, but we've been seeing more Fizz lately, particularly from some of the professional League of Legends players who've been playing them. I've seen Bjergsen played a few times. I saw Hai briefly played it a little bit when he was streaming. Just, it's really good in a meta where you don't see as many burst mages. Because he's pretty good against dot mages, because he can dodge a lot of their spells. The Lux being picked in. Go ahead.
Oh, he's also super good at using his mobility to get to the backline and assassinating them. Because when you look at the team on Dreamkillers, they do have Mundo and Malphite, which are huge frontline threats, but they really don't have that much CC without Malphite using his ult on Fizz. It's just a little bit slow he has to dodge. So Fizz can pretty much have free reign without being worried about having to get peeled off.
Now, the AD Kindred is a nice pick. I'm kind of iffy on the Misfortune pick into a Braum. They already knew that the Braum was there, and as we know, Braum can just throw up the Unbreakable Will, and then he can just block the entirety of Misfortune's ultimate, while not really taking a lot of damage once he gets tanky. The Anivia, though, I was kind of surprised we didn't see something like that picked a little bit earlier in the picks from blue side. They did opt to pick the Lux out for Strathagos. Anivia is probably next to Brand. They kind of share the #1 spot, and then Lux might come a little bit behind. Ari's a little close by, Vel'Koz is close, but the two main champions are going to be Anivia and Brand, who are these very dot-oriented champions. They scale very well with some of the items that are being used right now. They tend to go very well with Deathfire Touch, but a few people have used the Thunderlord's Decree for a little bit more burst, and overall, it's very strong. Now, I would like to point out, In Minus brought that cleanse. That's something we've been seeing a little bit recently, because more people have been grabbing that cleanse to deal with the massive amounts of CC that's been brought in with the nerfs to the Merc trends.
Yeah, I think that's a great pickup, especially in the 1v1 versus Lux. She hits a light binding on you, you pop cleanse, you're free to go, your gank, or the enemy team's gank isn't as effective. It allows you a lot more safety in the team fights. You can play a little bit more aggressively when trying to put the wall down or zone off the enemy team. You know you've got that extra set of defense for yourself, that you don't have to rely on your team having perfect positioning around to give you that zone protection. Speaking of zone protection, having Jarvan on the team, there's a lot of terrain to play around for the purple team. Fizz can hop in and out of those, Kindred's got some hops as well, Braum can leap to his team, so a lot of mobility on purple team, whereas the blue side, which is Dreamkillers, they don't exactly have much mobility, and they're more relying on this big wombo from the wave or the the unstoppable force from Malphite and Misfortune.
I do briefly want to touch on that, though, because you mentioned the Unstoppable Force, and we do have Malphite in the top lane. Deadbeat picked Fizz against that. We haven't actually seen top lane Fizz in quite a while, since he was played as the AD Bruiser Fizz that we saw briefly when his kit got changed up a little bit. But I do think that that's a good pick into this Malphite, because one thing is that Malphite tends to build a lot of armor because he scales very well with it, and Fizz can keep him down fairly well if he plays the matchup right. Anytime Malphite tries to respond by throwing the Reese's Pieces at you, throwing any little bit of damage at you, you can just troll pull it, and you don't actually take any damage. And you waste about the same amount of mana that he did. So really, you can kind of go in and out with these trades, go very strong with those, and against something like, say, the Mundo, Fizz is actually pretty strong. Now, it is kind of weird that we only see one Ignite. I have to think that either Jarvan or Kindred is going to pick up the...
Mortal Reminder?
Yeah, Mortal Reminder. I was confusing it with the Lord Dominic's Regards, but Mortal Reminder because it's very important to dealing with Mundo. Otherwise, he's just going to sustain through the fights.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of AD carries do build lifesteal too. They've got Nami. Her Ebb and Flow is a heal too for the team, so definitely a lot of instances where Mortal Reminder will come in handy. But we'll find out which of these two teams will be reminded of their mortality. Is it going to be the Dreamkillers on the blue side? Or is it gonna be Space Age Wizards on the purple side? We'll find out. Stick with us. This is House Party 5v5. We'll be right back.
evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Summoner's Rift. We are getting right back into this game here. Champion's going to be spawning in soon, grabbing these items, and here we are. We're in the quarterfinals for the House Party 5v5 Premier League. We have got on the blue side here, Dream Killers, your red side, Space Age Wizards. On color tonight, my name is Deck Club Ace. Joining me on play-by-play is Thunder. How you doing, man?
Excellent, buddy. I am so freaking excited to see how this match plays out. Space Age Wizards got first place in our Season 1 of the Minor League. They won first place in the relegation series as well, took their spot in the Premier League, and they are making so many waves in this league. They are top of the line in their abilities to play as a team and as individual players. Dream Killers got a lot of veterans. Wilson Jones, Strathghost, Zark, all those guys have been in these leagues for almost the entirety of it since Season 1. So a lot of skill on both these sides. It's going to be big. It's going to be intense. And you don't want to miss it.
Oh, definitely not. And we're not really seeing a lot of movement here early. This isn't really a surprise. Don't really see many invades right now because in case people have been sleeping under a rock for the past month or so, since the preseason came out, the game is much more snowbally. If you start losing really early in the game, chances are you're probably going to lose if you don't somehow get them to throw. That comes with the changes to the vision and also some of the changes to the way the AD items are built and just in general how some of the champions are played now.
Yeah, it's extremely more crucial for teams to have better communication with less wards going down on the map. If the junglers both aren't building Sightstone, you got to rely on people's ability to watch the movements of the enemies and predict where they're going. So there's a lot more room for error in that sense because there's just less ability to put wards on the map.
Right, and one thing that we'll be seeing here is the game will probably be determined by who can get those ward upgrades as early as possible. We have seen a lot of the blue trinkets being used, and those are quite powerful. In fact, they're getting nerfed, in case you didn't know. Wilson Jones seeing a lot of harass here from Ferrari. Gotta watch out for those chairs.
Yeah, even with the ebb and flow, bouncing between 3 members each time, it is not quite enough sustain from the harass on Space Age Wizard's side. Level 2 is going to be coming up soon, and you can expect to see an all-in.
Right, and this is particularly dangerous because if they're not able to get level 2 as well, Wilson Jones is going to have a hard time stopping the dive coming in from Kindred and Relara because, I mean, there's not really much that you can do to stop it if you don't have your bubble.
And eyes on Flipza, he's going to need to make some early pressure to counteract the fact that Mundo does like to farm pretty heavily to get an item or two before he starts ganking, preferably level 6 for him. And Jarvan, I would say, has got the early advantage in terms of kill pressure when he comes to lane.
Getting a little bit of a backup coming off from Wilson Jones. Strathghost getting...
Ooh, the stun lands on Strathghost. He has a shield just in time to block the Frostbite.
Slowly but surely, small advantage is being taken here. We do see that Flipsa did manage to get his Krugs, but he is low, so he's going to be backing. Mundo, meanwhile, is rounding up, coming around for a gank in top lane already.
Yeah, Deadbeat might be in trouble here. He does have Playful Trickster off of cooldown, and, well, Dark decides to back it off.
I think he realized that he was standing on a ward. There are actually 2 wards. There's one in the river and one in the bush there.
Ooh, there's an engage in the bottom lane. Relara's jumping forward with the shield. Kurosekai standing at pure safety. Oh, but he gets hit by the bubble. Scour's dishing out some damage. He's got the slowdown, but there's not much chase. They're afraid of the turn. Braum is so strong in these lanes. With his passive concussive blows, there's just at any point in time they can make a quick turn, get the stun, and, well, make huge plays.
Now, I gotta say, though, in that trade, I think that it went to TDRK more, because if you think about it, they didn't manage to proc the stun very well. They didn't manage to proc the Kindred extra damage that he would get from the mounting Dread, and because of that, the trade just kind of went back and forth. Now, Wilson Jones managed to land a nice bubble onto Kuro, and that forced them to back off.
Yeah, it's a great job on both these sides, but like you said, Dream Killers does have the sustain advantage. Relara doesn't have as much mana regeneration, so Wilson Jones definitely going to be able to keep his carry a lot more healthier in terms of these long, extended duration fights and poke well, back and forths. Oh, a beautiful double up there is going to poke Kurosekai down. He is forced to use his potion.
And just forcing a potion is quite good. We did just see there, MF did manage to double up and kill the first minion. If you didn't know, that actually increases the damage of the follow-up, and that did hit Relara. That's why he's got a chunk of health missing
Dark's
now.
about to find Flipsa. He gets the cleaver for the slow. Instantly, Dragon is aggro because of the Demacian standard, and he's taken a fair amount of damage from him. Has to use the shield, the Golden Aegis, whichever you want to call it, depending on what translation you're going from.
It's Aegis. Aegis would be the best way to say it, but looking in the top side, Deadbeat doing pretty well in this matchup. Not too sure how it's going to go once they get their ultimates, but we'll have to see. He did manage to pick up the Sheen, and in this point,
Flips
the Sheen
is in the
really
bush.
strong.
Bush is unwarded. Scholar and Wilson Jones might be in trouble here, but he has 5 more seconds before the standards are off a cooldown. Let's see if he can make the impact that Space Age Wizard needs. Relar goes in aggressive. That's 1 stack, that's 2 stacks, that's 3 stacks, that's 4. That might be Scholar going down. The heel is burned. First blood, Kurosekai! There might be one more stun on Wilson Jones if he can find the stack. Flipsa has to back off. He gets a nice poke. Relar taking a few extra turret shots. Ebb and Flow is going to poke him down, but it's not quite enough. Sark on the back end, but he's not quite quick enough to he is not in cleaver range just yet. There's one under Relara, but I do not think he's going to be able to get anything out of this. Space Age Wizards, a great orchestrated gank, and they pick up the first blood.
It was a good gank. It was a little bit messy, and I do like Wilson Jones reacted really fast when Flipsa dropped that flag, but it was too late. He'd already used the dash. He could already get across. We did actually see a little bit of a fight break out top lane as Deadbeat hit level 6 before Captain Stevie did, but unfortunately, he missed the carrot. So the rabbit popped up, and it didn't actually hit anything.
Silly wabbit. Malphite's not to one shot. I don't know where I was going with that, but Deadbeat's going in aggressive on Captain Stevie. He is so tanky even without many items, but Deadbeat does have a lot of sustained damage, and Captain Stevie is out of mana.
Well, I mean, that may be true, but Deadbeat took a whole bunch of damage there for nothing. And keep in mind, that's only a no magic mantle. He hasn't really built a lot. Start coming in for a gank on N-.
He's got the cleaver down. Oh, but the stun instantly hits Strathghost, and that is disengaged. N- doing a great job. I believe he changed his name from Deadbeat.
I don't even remember.
Pretty sure it's Deadbeat.
I don't keep track
still.
of the name changes anymore.
Yeah, there's just too many. They need to give us like an update list or something to help us keep up with that.
That's okay, though.
For the fans' sake.
We do have...
Alrighty, Scholar's taking a little bit of damage. A double bubble from Wilson Jones. The ebb and flow was bouncing between these members. However, Kurosekai is dishing out so much damage. When he is in Wolf's Frenzy Zone, he is mounting the dread by dancing the arrows.
Wow, that was so forced. Anyway. So, the thing about playing this is, it's really weird, okay? We haven't seen a lot of people build the Cutlass really early, because most people don't want to build Blade of the Ruined King as their first item anymore. Ooh, Strathio's getting stunned inside of that. Doesn't want to take that much damage from Glacial Storm.
Yeah, really just a farm fest going on in the mid lane with these two control mages. They're going to really shine when it comes to these team fights. Early Dragon going over to Space Age Wizards. Nobody on Dreamkillers is even around to contest that. Not that they had much vision to tell it, though.
Well, to be fair, they did manage to get pushed out in bot lane a little bit, and
they didn't really have a choice.
He's just going to be going back constantly. I mean, he's going to be low on mana because he has to harass a lot. Ooh. I do see Captain Stevie has that Corrupting Potion. Personally, I'm not sold on the item. I have seen it fail more often than I have seen it succeed, but we'll see how it goes for him.
Yeah, it's not the best in terms of trying just to have raw strats to outtrade your opponent. It's nice in theory, but when it comes down to it, it just doesn't give you exactly what you need when you could spend your gold on something else more worth it.
I think the real problem is that it costs 500 gold, or that it's a 250 or 350 gold upgrade. Yeah, 350 gold upgrade from the refillable potion. Strathio's getting stunned out again. A little bit more damage. Both of them have blue buff, so they'll be using that mana to harass here. But the problem is that it costs about 350 gold, and for that same gold, you could buy boots.
There's a Mundo lurking in the bush. Flipsa gets his red buff stolen with a nice smite from Zark. That's it. All he's going to need to take him out solo 1v1 in the jungle.
Definitely need to be careful here because at least in the early game, Mundo can do a lot of damage.
Ooh, the bubble goes right past Rillar, and there's already a concussive blowdown. That's 4 stacks onto Scholar. He's flashed, but it might not be enough. The wave is going to try to knock him back. The ultimate is down. Wilson Jones is knocked up. The teleport is being channeled from the top lane. Here comes Calvin Stevie with an explosive shutdown. The snipe from Strathghost is going to get him the assist. Not quite enough for the kill, but N- has set up a wall behind Strathghost, and he is trying to kite to safety. Which one of these is going to be able to land the stun? Strathghost, beautiful sidestep. The binding is down, but N- might just not have enough with the shield. Woo!
Not quite, and Captain Stevie's here. That was
showing up real late to the party.
That was quite a failed little fight there. Thinking they had the advantage, Sark managing to land in mid lane, top lane rather.
Oh, Sark is getting beasted down by Deadbeat right now, but the turret shot might be too much for him to handle. Deadbeat ends up getting the kill.
Talk about skin of your teeth. Barely managing to get that, playfully dodging that cleaver. Saved his life easily. But talking about that bot lane fight, it looked like they had the advantage up until the point where they overcommitted to get Wilson and got knocked up. Because of that, teleport came out, Captain Stevie comes in, and, well, unstoppable Horus is unstoppable, so...
Kurosekai and Rillara opting to stand in the rain, though I'm not quite sure why. It doesn't do too much damage, however, and Scholar had no intention of following that up, but Flipsa is on the backside. He does have Cataclysm ready. Scholar might be in trouble. However, the knockup isn't there. The Cataclysm is down. That might be another kill for Kurosekai. 3-1-0. 11 minutes into this game, and he is on fire right now.
Well, he is currently playing the idealized version of Death, so, you know, may as well get some kills to prove a point.
Yeah, if he didn't, he would not be living up to his standards, and you can't say the Omen of Death is not worth his salt without kills. Rillar getting caught out by a bubble. Here comes Zark, but he realizes that he has backup. Zark's going to have to run away from that one quite quickly, and Minus still playing the wave clear game in the mid lane. Wow, that was a tongue twister. Deadbeat is going in on Captain Stevie. The red buff plus his magic damage over time from the Seastone Tread are just burning this guy down.
Also, if you didn't see it there, Captain Stevie did try and toss a seismic shard. It missed because, well, Deadbeat went up onto his pole, and that just kind of cancels the projectile. Kuro having to dodge away from Wilson Jones here by himself. One thing I was kind of curious about was why Wilson Jones left Scholar alone, or better yet, why Scholar stayed so far pushed up when he was by himself. Like, we did see in that fight that broke out briefly that Wilson Jones had started to go towards the mid side, and they were kind of warding up this dragon pit area, trying to get some vision into the river. And unfortunately, Scholar just kind of trying to stay farming, despite the fact that he's 1v2, and then it turned into a 1v3.
And greed's the downfall of some people, and it looks like that was Scholar's sin for this time. Let's see if they can make up for it. He's already given up 3 kills. That's gotta not go too well on your mental state in this game. It's a best-of-3 series, so if he's able to pick it back up, there's plenty of time to atone for that. However, there's a pretty good snowball going on for Kurosekai right now in the bottom lane, but because of Rilara's roams, he's not able to use his lane presence. The lane's getting frozen out against him, although it is slowly moving towards their turret. The Wilson Jones doing a great job of protecting his carry. Flips Sark, ward battle, here he goes. The flag drag is down. He's trying to dish out some damage, but Sark is, well, not really fazed by it whatsoever.
I believe you're confused. He was not caring about Zark there. He was actually going just for that ward. Didn't even care about Zark. That was just an initiate to scare him off the ward so that he could just punch it to death. Zark
the bubble for a minion.
Clearing out this ward. We
just
do
applying
see
more
already,
pressure to the bottom lane.
Already, both mid laners picking up the Farsight Totem. We'll see how long it takes the bot lane to swap out for their Farsight Totems as well, and whether or not the top lane will follow suit. Doesn't seem likely. Looks like Dreamkillers are going to go for their first dragon, but they're going to pay for it with a tower.
And Deadbeat does have teleport in case they need to do something. It's a great cross-map trade early on in the game. You get a jump on the dragon, you get the extra % damage from the first one. but you give up global gold. So both teams do get a win off of that. We'll see which team is going to be able to turn it into more of a victory. And I believe having the top turret this early on is actually the favorable trade.
Well, here's the problem with that. Normally I would agree if there were no dragons on the board, but Space Age Wizards got a dragon earlier for free. Literally paid nothing for it. So, normally you'd be right, but you're not. You're kind of half wrong here, because they did manage to even the dragons, so they're even in that sense, but they lost that tower pressure, and because of that, Malphite
Well, that's what I was
has to
talking
stay
about.
top
The
lane.
tower is better because Malphite doesn't have any defenses to fall back to.
Well, it's normally that's right anyway, but it's even worse because all they did was they evened up the dragons. They didn't
I see
pull
what
a
you're
lead
saying.
in dragons.
Yeah.
Now we are seeing the vision starting to slowly move towards the side of Space Age Wizards here. They're going to be trying to get this bottom side tower now. Strathco's going to come
Oh,
out by this
Strathco's
ult.
gets caught by the carrot. Deadbeat is going in. That's a fair amount of damage down. The wall is trying to block him in, but it's not quite enough. A beautiful flash will dodge the ultimate from Lux. Captain Stevie going in on N-. Sark is slowing down Deadbeat, but it might not be enough. Jarvan is, in fact, helping with this Cataclysm.
One of the few times I've seen a Jarvan Cataclysm actually save a teammate rather than kill them. But I have to say, I think that was a misplay by Captain Stevie. I think he should have jumped on Deadbeat because he knew that Deadbeat's
Wilson Jones might be in
was
trouble
gone.
here. That's 3 stacks on him. However, Sark is the one getting caught out. Kurosekai and Flipsa burning this guy down. He is not quite tanky enough. A nice knock-up from Alara will stop Scholar's channel. And unfortunately, it is not exactly the bullet time she was looking for. There's a decent-sized wave. Red team has 5 of their members nearby. Relara will have to base here, but that still makes it a 3v2 when N- opts to go to mid lane to put some counter map pressure down. This is a possible dive. The carrot is out. It's not on his target, but Deadbeat wants Scholar anyways. 3/4 of his health in one combo. Oh, the light binding
And that
misses from Strathgos.
That was missing the Chum the Waters too, keep in mind. So he even didn't have the damage amplification.
Deadbeat gets caught by a light binding. There's the ultimate. Oh my gosh, Strathgos just pieces him off of the map.
Well, I mean, I guess if you're going for like vegetable puns here, he had a little bit too much light. He couldn't quite get any energy from that, so he burned him.
Oh man. Alrighty, N-
Alright.
got his blue buff again, pushing down the mid lane. A massive wave in top is currently being denied to Deadbeat. He doesn't have teleport. He's dead for 10 more seconds. A great slow push from the Dream Killers. But if that's all they got going from right now, they're going to need to muster up a little bit more.
Particularly
did
because
there?
if you look
Mustard?
at it right now,
Mustard?
they're losing some top lane pressure, like top lane is taking some damage, but mid lane and bot lane are being pushed into Dream Killers constantly. They're taking a whole bunch of damage to those towers, both of them almost dead. Meanwhile, the towers on Space Age Wizard's side have barely been touched. So once again, you're trading what looks like an advantage, but really it's just you're evening up a side that you're already behind on, and you're losing advantages elsewhere.
Alright, so
bit of damage coming out mid
itemization right now. Lux is working towards... She's got a needless large rod that could go towards the Rabadons, it could go towards the Zanyas, or Luden's Echo. It's really going to depend on what she wants to do, but being a little bit behind in CS, her power spike isn't going to come in until that second item, where Nivea's trying to stack up the Rod of Ages. There's a 3-man gank. Strathgos gets caught by the wall. He's got the carrot on top of him. Flipsa's going to end it with the Cataclysm. That's going to be a nice kill for the Space Age Wizards. That's going to net them a mid lane turret. That's going to be 2 turrets to 0 in their favor. Bottom lane has 3 members for the Dream Killers, but it will be pushed in soon.
It's just
Oh,
a
sorry,
little bit
3
of
to
icing
1.
on the carrot cake. Gotta get that extra Cataclysm damage in, just for bonuses. Did manage to get that tower down. Bot side is probably going to be going down here soon. I mean, they've got 2 members down there. The wave's pushed up. It's only a matter of time. They're going to go for this Rift Herald here. One thing to talk about item builds, though, we do see that Deadbeat does have his Lich Bane, and he got the early Ionian Boots of Lucidity, which, while they did get that little bit of a CDR nerf in terms of how much they do, they also apply to your summoner spells now, which makes it, A, harder to time that flash, and B, we did see that Deadbeat. You did miss that jump, by the way. and B,
It happens, man. It
it
happens.
lets you have that flash up more often to use, particularly if you're going to go for something like the distortion upgrade anyway. And both of the top laners are probably going to go for distortion because, well, they both have flash teleport, so it's a very valuable enchant to have.
Especially on Captain Stevie, he's got to be the one to make those engages for his team. Sark will be running in there, but he is that main initiate who needs to catch out the immobile Anivia, hopefully Kuro, and if they can blow up Kuro in the time before he can get Lamb's Respite down, that is exactly what they're looking to do. Strathghost and Scholar do have long-range ultimates to follow up on it, so having that flash ever more important on Captain Stevie.
Now, I would like to point out, we did just see that Kurosekai built the Mortal Reminder. I have to say, I kind of disagree with that, in that I think Flipsa should be the one to pick up the Mortal Reminder. He's more likely to live long enough to use it. Ooh, Deadbeat, you're caught out here.
Yeah, not looking too hot for him. There's a double down dive in the top lane. Sark is tanking up the turret. Nope, it's on Captain Stevie now. That's going to be an easy kill for them. Rillar trying to do what he can. Force flashed from Steve. Sark has got a little bit more life than Rillar can deal with. Right now, the top lane turret will be going down to the Dream Killers. That's their second one for the game. A skirmish in the jungle has happened. Wilson Jones gets exploded, though. That could be the
tragic.
Dragon. Dragon's going to go over to Space Age Wizards here. They do not have a smite available. He is on the top side of the map. Unless Strathghost can have a final spark to steal the Dragon, it's nope, not even close. Kurosekai secures it for Space Age Wizards.
Now, back to what I was saying now that the little fights have finished. The reason why I think that Kuro having the Mortal Reminder isn't as good as putting it on Flipsa is... Oh, another
Kuro
fight. Goodbye,
1v1ing Scholar in the bottom lane. It's raining all over his head, but that's not enough to stop Wolf. And Kurosekai comes up with a solo kill.
Anyway, so if you look at the team comp that we have right here now, we have two people on the team that are guaranteed to have more health than you. The Lord Dominic's Regards, the advantage that you have there is if they have more than 500 health over you, it gives you 15% bonus damage to your target. Now, if you're fighting a tank, if someone else on your team is capable of building the Mortal Reminder, then if you need one, then it's actually really good. The Lord Dominic's Regard, I think, is underbuilt right now. I think a lot of people don't understand how good that 15% bonus damage is. Ooh,
Zark having to
Goodbye,
force his ult. Flipsa is jumping in, but the Flag Drag did not get a knock-up that they needed. And just more skirmishing in the jungle. Bottom lane and mid lane being contested right now by Space Age Wizards. Dreamkiller's doing what they can to wave clear, but Strathghost has blue buff. He's got low mana-ish right now, but that's not too big of a problem, especially with the themes on Holy Grail.
It looks like he is going to be going for that bursty damage build that we see, the Luden's Echo. I'm kind of surprised he hasn't upgraded his boots yet. Oh, we're taking a lot of damage here, but Deadbeat getting caught out by Zark.
And little carrot cake to disengage. Rillar doing what he can. Okay, here's the wave. It's made it rain. He's got knocked up by the wave. Rillar's fend right now is not the water. Lamb's Respite will save him. Kurosekai playing the hero for his support. AD carry usually does not get to have that courtesy for his support, but it's a great ultimate to have in times like this. Dreamkiller's pushing down 4 deep in the bottom lane. They've got Mundo in the mid lane trying to keep up the pressure, but N- has such superior wave clear in comparison.
Yeah, and one thing we did see both the top laners use their teleports, and nothing really came from it. They just kind of disengaged off. Captain Stevie did manage to pick up a Banshee's Veil for himself, and that's going to be quite useful against this team comp, particularly because a lot of the engage is actually ranged. They rely on, say, the Glacial Fissure. They rely on the Chum the Waters. They need the Flag Initiate to be able to go off. There's a whole bunch of ways that will just save his butt so many times.
Zark going for the aggressive turret dive onto Rillar. He's still tanking the turret. Captain Stevie's got 2 on the knockup. However, there's no follow-up from his team. It's just a zone, so they can take the turret. Unfortunately, Miss Fortune is not known for her turret-taking abilities, and this turret is going so slow. Here comes Flipsa, and just more zoning left and right from each of these teams. Tons of key ultimates have been used, but Space Age Wizards keep their turrets safe for now. It is hanging on with 719 HP.
barely, but overall it didn't actually accomplish very much besides blowing a bunch of ultimates. They did use the Unstoppable Force, they used Final Spark, they even used Sadism from Mundo, and overall, really all they did was they got some damage on the tower, which they did manage to get a little bit of damage onto it. They took it down from about, what was it, 3/4 health to what it is now, so about a fourth or a fifth of its health left. But the only thing that the other team used was Glacial Fissure, and that managed to push them off.
So yeah, definitely a trade in favor of Space Age Wizards for ultimates.
But
Captain
they need to do something with it
Stevie-
now.
Yeah, Captain Stevie is going to be the longest ultimate, and one of the more key ones for these 5v5 fights. So yeah, Space Age Wizards looking to make a rotation bottom lane. Wilson Jones catching Lara out, but not too much is going to come of that. It's just little poke battles here and there. Strathco's setting up a camp in this mid lane on his mage, just clearing these waves, making sure that Space Age Wizards can't get close. There's a decent vision game going on, but Wilson Jones looks to be the winner of it right now. Let's see if Space Age Wizards can change that. Kuro, Sekai, and Deadbeat have been waiting in this bush for so long, but they're not going to get the catch they want.
I think it's a lot of suspicion. Like, if you think about it, TDRK has not seen Fizz in quite a while, and he hasn't gone to farm top. He hasn't gone mid. So chances are he's hanging around in the jungle somewhere, and there's an 80 carry standing by himself.
Captain Stevie on the flank, Flips is going to knock him up. There's an ultimate down, but it's only on one target. Relara gets caught in the bubble with Flipsa. Cataclysm is down. Debbie's got the fish in there, and he's going for so much damage. However, the blue team is chasing him. The wave is at the lead. Kuroseka is not in a good spot whatsoever. Flipsa is in trouble right after him. Sark hasn't even been touched this fight yet. And Minus has a beautiful snipe onto Strathghost there. That was, or sorry, not Strathghost, Scholar. Wrong S word.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, Zark did take damage, but he's Mundo.
Fair enough. But
So
at the end of the day,
I want to talk about that for a second, because Kuro walked into the side of the team thinking that they were going to be able to fight there. Even used
Stark
his
gets
ultimate.
stunned up, gets knocked up by Flipsa. He's still in that turret aggro, but this guy's a monster. However, this ice wall will stop him. Deadbeat probably picking up the kill here. I lied to you. It's actually Flipsa. There's not enough time to take the turret. A nice final spark will stop Deadbeat in his tracks. Unfortunately, Relara, the shield will not stop the final spark. It will stop her light binding, however.
Well, that was a little bit of an over-aggressive push. They could have maybe done a little bit more, but Zark went a little bit too far in there, thinking he could maybe keep them off the tower. There weren't any real cooldowns left, so they just kind of had to leave. But unfortunately, they didn't. Now, back to that team fight, though. Kuro just kind of walked into the 5-man team comp stomp because he thought that his team was going to turn around. His team didn't turn around because they were out of cooldowns, they were out of stuff. So by the time he got there, he pops his ultimate, which is cool and all, but while it does save you from dying, it does not save you from crowd control. So he got knocked up by Wilson Jones' bubble, and in the end, he didn't actually get to get very much damage out and just died whenever it ran out.
And off the back of that fight, Space Age Wizards picks up their third dragon of this game. The timer's running short for the Dream Killers, and they're going to have to make some decisive calls coming up in about 13, 14-ish minutes, depending on how long they wait in between these two dragons. However, Baron is always an objective that's left on the table, so you cannot be too greedy for the dragons and give up Baron or an inhibitor in turn. But Space Age Wizards look great with how many turrets they have standing on the map in comparison to the Dream Killers.
Now, just briefly looking at the way the gold is going right now, there's only a slight lead on Space Age Wizard's side, but that lead is spread out over multiple carries. Now, while Deadbeat doesn't have many kills, both In- and Kuro have kills, and Flipsa has some kills, and that managed to get him a lot of tanky stats. He does need some magic resist really bad, because at the moment, 4 of the 5 members of the team do a lot of magic damage. Mundo's cleavers do magic damage. Lux obviously does magic damage, Stevie does magic damage, and Wilson Jones, while normally you don't talk about Nami doing a lot of damage, the abilities do a little bit of base damage, and you do need to watch out for that.
You know, Locket would be a solid pickup for Flipsa. It would help a lot with his team, get that extra shield to stop the Wombo from completely annihilating some members. The little extra resist and health regen is, you can't really complain about that either. Siege going down in the mid lane, but I would give this to Space Age Wizards just because Anivia is so strong on the wave clear.
Yeah, luckily both teams picked very strong, like, AoE wave clear champions for mid. So if a mid push tries to break out, not much is going to happen. They'll manage to do a little bit, but not a whole lot. Looking like we did see the Scuttle Crab for Baron going over Dream Killers. Getting a little bit of vision over there. They've got a nice line of vision all the way towards Baron, but whether or not they're going to do anything with it remains to be seen. See a little bit of a split going on for both top laners, but on opposite sides of the map.
That's the beautiful thing about wards. Even if you don't directly reveal an enemy, you at least can check that off the list of where they are. You know they're not in this zone, so they're likely to be in any of the other places. So it does give you a general idea of where to find them. So a lot of hidden information in these wards and how your team reads their rotations. I love the pickup of the ZZ route portal. It's trolling away, but it does give essentially a banner of command from a different location.
The thing about the Zerat portal is that it's like, it does a lot of damage, particularly if you have a lot of resistance. Deadbeat, what are you doing? You can't win
Trying
this
to fight Captain Stevie, but a little bunny rabbit is not going to do too much damage to a rock. He is gnawing on it, and it's hurting his teeth more than he cares to admit. Oh, Deadbeat fails to jump over the wall. He has to flash just to get to safety. Captain Stevie making a showing in the bottom lane. Guilt Snipe from Strathghost goes wide.
I think that it was Deadbeat thinking he could fight Captain Stevie for some reason, because he wasn't backing off. Like, he engaged on Captain Stevie.
Oh yeah, he intentionally thought he could handle it, but he just underestimated the tankiness.
Just like, oh, okay, well, Captain Stevie has a whole bunch of defensive stats. He's got his own Bond of Stone, so he takes 4% less damage.
There's a pink ward in the pit, they know that. Space Age Wizards have it. Deadbeat's going in on Wilson Jones, forces out the wave already. That's a great zone off just from his teleport. The Dream Killers have to back off of Baron. Now N- trying to clear out some of these wards at the cost of a cleaver, but that's not too bad when the other team isn't following up. Sark wants a fight. Mundo is going in. He's being slowed down, zoned up. He flashes in. Quite controversially, it's an odd strategy, but he's getting so many stuns thrown his way. Luckily, he has insane amounts of healing. Mikhail's Crucible is used to make sure he gets out of there safely.
You say insane amounts of healing, but they forced his ultimate, he used his flash, and they didn't use anything. Relara used Ignite. That's the only summoner that was used in that entire engage.
Oh, great. I would say great trade for Space Age Wizards there. They get the map pressure. They stop the Baron.
Yeah, they stop the Baron.
Deadbeat's on a split push again. It's looking good for him.
They push the wave up top. They force a lot of movement, and then they also get Zark's flash for free. I mean, Sadism has a very short cooldown. At this point in the game, it's got almost a 1-minute cooldown, and for an ability that heals you for pretty much like 75% of your health bar, considering masteries and items and everything, that's really, really, really strong. So I guess it's useful, but if he'd only used Sadism, then maybe it would have been worth. The flash was kind of unnecessary.
Alrighty, Deadbeat is on the split push yet again. He does not have teleports. So they do not have the courtesy of him being able to show up at any point in time. They're going to have to keep tight on this vision, which the Dream Killers are absolutely winning in control of around the Baron pit. The siege in the mid lane, like you mentioned earlier, Deck, just mage's wave clearing when it comes down to it. They're going to give some CS over to Kurosekai, but that's ending up in Anivia's pocket. You can see that. She has a 40 CS advantage over enemy laner, and the Baron has started back up. Dragon is up in 2 seconds, but that is not even on the minds of either of these teams. The Baron is going almost to half health now. It's about at 6,000. Relara goes in with the engage. Blam's Respite will keep him alive. Captain Stevie diving the back line. Sark is so tanky, he's living it up. N- is going low. He's getting slowed by the cleavers. Here comes Deadbeat, but the spooky ghosts are too spooky, and it scares off the Space Age Wizards. Dream Killers attempting to make their most efforts at being a nightmare for the other team. They're pushing down the mid lane. The Baron bait was on. It's working beautifully. Captain Stevie not even phased by this turret. Deadbeat going in. He catches Scholar. He almost gets the kill. There it is. N- cleans it up. The Zanias is just about to run out of time, but he playful tricksters right out of the bubble. Wilson Jones was not able to connect that. Deadbeat getting poked down by Strathghost. But Space Age Wizards does protect their mid lane turret after an almost disastrous fight at the Baron pit.
So I'm gonna use that as a reason to point out the reason why the Mortal Reminder is not as good. So we saw in that fight, Kuro did a lot of damage, right? So Zark almost died. Zark didn't use his ultimate until near the end when he was really low on health. So for most of that fight, the healing reduction didn't matter. But you know what would have mattered? 15% more damage.
Yeah, Clubace is very stern on his opinion on this topic, and you will not waver him from this. So, TLDR, build it. Oh, the wave and the life! Not enough to steal the Baron away. J4, i.e. Flipsa, picks it up. Sark wants a fight. Ooh, Righteous Glory pop, but it's not really that useful for disengage. However, Space Age Wizards does not want to take a fight in unwarded territory. It's slightly dangerous, and there's not really a reason to. They got the dragon. There's a big wave top they want to catch. They're just looking good if they keep stalling it out. However, there's only, well, there's 100 gold difference. Yep, for Space Age Wizards. Such a close game on all ends. The death timers are so long coming into the 30-minute, 35-minute range that if either of these teams missteps, they're almost guaranteed to be giving up an objective afterwards. Deadbeat finally found the Zerat portal. He takes it down, but it's off a cooldown, and Sark is looking to put another one up somewhere. I can guarantee that.
I just gotta say, holy Christ, Zark, that the value of that Zerat portal was so good because it got top tower. Like, it took them that long to be able to go deal with it that it managed to kill the tower.
It's like it's having an extra banner for your team. It arguably more effective, less effective. You just got to look at it at a situational basis. But the fact that your jungler can build that and your support does not have to rush banner if your team dead or drastically needs it, it's such a useful item. It gives them 60 armor, 60 match versus Captain Stevie going in, catches flips on N-. Scholar's there on the follow-up, but there's a teleport being channeled. Deadbeat will be in the backline. Sark gonna try to hold him off. Captain Stevie going solo. Deadbeat looking for the kill. The carrot is down onto Strathghost. Oh, an early QSS is not going to help him there. Or sorry, Mikhail's Crucible. Wilson Jones gets a bubble onto Flipsa, stops his charge, but the Space Age Wizards find themselves in a 1-for-0 situation. They're looking towards the Baron pit. There's a ward in it, but that's going to go away so shortly. Let's see if they can burn it down. They do have a Kindred on their team, and Kindred is disgusting when it comes to taking these neutral objectives. I don't think that the Dream Killers can stop it. Sark is walking in, but it's just too late. He's getting knocked out. Bullet time is down with the Cataclysm. Jarvan, you were not helping your team in that situation. Flipsa goes in for the kill. Captain Stevie going solo. Deadbeat picks it up. Sark is the next target is what it's looking like. 4 members of Space Age Wizards are super low, but they come out on top. They get Baron. They get 4 kills. 50-second death timers. They're going to be able to get some objectives after that fight. They might want to base up first.
So, briefly breaking down why that fight just went the way it did, because it seemed like it was going to obviously go towards Dream Killers, right? They had this nice open wave area. Wilson Jones managed to get some nice CC down. Scholar getting a perfect bullet time. Well, it would have been perfect if not for Kuro. Because you hit on Flipsa for that Cataclysm, but if you think about it, the Cataclysm kept everybody in one spot. Kuro popped the Lamb's Respite, and because of that, no one died to the ultimate, and no one died to the double up. So they didn't lose anybody because of perfect positioning of that ultimate.
Man. They might need to change that meme. They got it out there. It's a peel for Sigil, but Sigil saves.
Sigil saves. Now, I will say...
Oh, Deadbeat! Yeah, okay, there you go. I was about to say, he lands the carrot, but he might not want to follow that up.
Yeah, might not want to dive there.
He will end up being the chum in those waters.
I will say, though, that probably the best thing that Space Age Wizards did for that fight was they didn't start the fight until they knew that Zark's sadism was blown. They waited until that was down. They forced it, then they disengaged once they knew it was down, and then they tried to push a Baron immediately. So they did manage to get that, and I hate to say it, but going on a point, that means the Mortal Reminder's not doing anything.
And Baron's over half done. And
really got
Space Age Wizards, yeah, they have yet to make an effective run with it. Zerat Portal used defensively to help fight off these waves, and just these wave clear mid laners, making it very hard to take objectives without a fight.
It's a good bit of wave clear. I kind of wish that they would go do a little bit of split pushing, but I guess they don't really want to split push against a team like this, because if they get dove, then they can't really get away.
Well, Captain Stevie does have teleport. That is an option for the Dream Killer's Deadbeat. He's still got about a third of his cooldown left on it, so not as viable of a strategy for Space Age Wizards. They're looking for this dragon. It's a minute left. It's 4 for Space Age Wizards and only 1 for the Dream Killers. Dream Killers have got to stop this if they want to have a chance of winning the next team fights, which have been orchestrated so beautifully by the Space Age Wizards. It looked like Sark is being caught. The Satives are down. Flipsa contemplating whether he wants to go in or not, but he's waiting for the opportune moment. Captain Stevie with the ult. Kurosekai saves his teammates, but it might not be enough. Let's see how this fight turns out. Sark is still full. Captain Stevie going in for the backline as well. Flipsa doing what he can to peel for his team. And minus his Aegis pop, Kurosekai's hopping around on the backside, throwing him out as many arrows as he can, but they cannot stop the Dream Killers. The spooky ghosts are down, and Flipsa is about to meet his maker.
Unfortunate team fight, because it seemed like everything was going right, but they didn't break off in time, and because of that, Deadbeat went down super early, didn't really get to do a whole lot of damage. Scholar got killed, but that was more of like happenstance. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and Minus managing to pick him off, and this cleanse pick, while I praised it in the beginning of the Champs Select, he hasn't really done anything with it yet, because there's been no situation where he's used a cleanse that saved him.
Yeah, I mean, he's not really getting caught out by the CC. He's just getting blown up in these team fights due to his immobility. And, I mean, Heal might or Ghost might change that, but he opted for Cleanse. Not that you would really bring Ghost on Anivia, it's just, I don't know.
I'd say
Cleanse
like
has not been
Heal or
working so
Exhaust
well.
or Barrier would have been better.
Yeah, Barrier's a great one to have on an immobile carry.
I mean, Strathagos took Barrier, and it's been kind of working out for him. Not fantastically, but
Arguably done more than the Cleanse as of now.
right. And we do see a QSS being built. The Merc Scimitar is already built on Kindred, which unfortunately is not as useful in this situation as you would hope. There's only a little bit of CC that will stop you, and it's not as debilitating as Space Age Wizard CC because of the stuns and
They have a lot of knockups too.
Yeah, the general knockups as well. The
Right.
Baron pit getting cleared out. 2 minutes until Baron. Not expecting any massive plays until then. But I gotta say, Relara picking up this Eye of the Equinox. Again, I don't really think that the Sightstone upgrades are worth it, personally. The reason being that while it seems really cool, we're in an age now where slot efficiency is not as important as stat efficiency. And while Oh, Stevie.
Captain Stevie looking for the engage. He finds Relara. Beautiful flash from Kurosekai will get him out of danger's way. It looks like that fight has been completely disengaged. But they did burn the ultimate for the Space Age Wizards AD carry at the cost of Captain Stevie's ultimate. Dream Killer is yet again a big wave on the top side that they can deal with. Deadbeat going back. He's got teleport. They're looking at Baron in a minute. They need to have control of these side waves, whichever team's perspective you're watching this game from. If there is not side wave pressure, you are giving up so much ground at Baron. And right now, Dream Killers have the ward advantage. They've got the Zerat portal ready and waiting. If Deadbeat doesn't find its location in the next 15 seconds or so, they do risk losing a lot of the Baron pressure area for Space Age Wizards.
Now, we do actually also see that a banner command was picked up, and that actually is going to be really hard for Deadbeat to deal with, since all of his damage is magic damage.
Thing is just not dying whatsoever.
It takes so long. He can't use any spells on it. It doesn't take any magic damage, so he has to auto-attack it to death.
Sark and Flipsa, two massive tanks right now, vying for this vision control, trying to sweep out their enemies' wards. Oh, they're going in! Kurosekai using what he can to slow him down. Flipsa is on top of the two tanks. The Cataclysm is down. Teleport is being channeled. Oh my gosh, Draftos with the wombo on top of bullet time. But yet again, Kurosekai dropping Lamb's Respite just in time to save his team. N- has fallen already. And Flipsa willing to get the knockup. Sark finds the kill. There's 2 members left for the Dream Killers. 3 members left for Oh gosh, Space Age Wizards, and I'm running out of breath.
No, no, no. There's 3 members on each side. They managed to save one
Oh,
person.
yeah, I see. Wilson Jones, my fault, sir. I did not see you there.
He's alive.
Dark just face tanking the turret for what? Not really worth.
Now, at this point, Unstoppable Force having like a 70-second cooldown, you gotta be really careful. If he used it in one fight, it's probably gonna be up in the next fight unless you force a fight really fast. Not gonna see any Barons from this. Kuro might be able to get this Zark. We'll see. He doesn't have his heal yet.
Let's see. He's got the chase on. He's got so much damage, and the Mortal Reminder actually working out this time. However, he's unable to continue the chase.
Once more, I disagree.
I said it's almost working for him.
Because, again, sadism wasn't up. So it didn't do anything. And then once it was up, he managed to just use the speed boost to get away. The heal is really nice, but at this point it's the 35% speed boost that's saving him every time.
Mm-hmm. That's so discouraging though. It's like you get the guy so low and he's just like, nah, son, I ain't trying to die right now.
Yeah, and if you think about it, it gets 60% of his max health, right? And then he has the Spirit Visage, which gives him another 20% on top of that, of what he's getting healed for. Then you get the Perseverance when you're really, really low on health, right? So that gives another...
And then that's compounded by Spirit Visage too.
Yeah, so you get an additional base health regen. It's not actually increased by that, because Perseverance no longer affects your healing. It just increases your base health regen by a large chunk. But being low on health makes your health regenerate really, really, really fast.
Okay.
And Zrot Portal scales based on his max health. So each fourth Zrot does like 600 damage to a tower.
That's just cruel.
Yeah, so if the Zrot minions actually make it to a tower, they will do a lot of damage. Eventually.
If anything, that just means they just gotta use their items in one lane, and then they just need to play between two lanes, because there's no one on Space Age Wizards that can really clear it unless they give up their jungler for engage, or they give up their main source of AD on Kuro. So it's a really sticky situation to be in for the Space Age Wizards, just due to these item choices that the Dream Killers have been making, and it's working wonders for them right now, but both these teams are so close in terms of gold advantage that they're almost all full build when you look at it. So these fights, these champions are almost at their max power spikes.
Right, and I will look at it right now. I will say that Wilson Jones has been a lot more useful in the fights than Rolara, partially because I think that the utility mage support is doing a little better than like tank supports are. But also, if you look at the way the items are set up right now, Wilson Jones has that Frost Queen's claim for a little bit more utility in his engages, and unfortunately, Rolara had to build Righteous Glory to get something even close to as powerful. And while we do see that the Ruby Sightstone being built, that is really useful, I think Ruby Sightstone now, with the item active cooldown reduction, is so much better than building one of the upgraded Sightstone items.
Plus he loses the face of the Mountain Shield. He doesn't have a shield either. So
exactly. And
that could come into such handy situations after Kuro's used Lamb's Respite. Either if he needs to save Minus or Kuro, face of the Mountain's going to give him the extra, 1 second, 2 seconds they need to finish out the fight or at least get to safety. It's just so much more utility off of just the item's active ability that even though you save that item slot, there's not really anything you'd want to replace that item with when it comes down to it.
Yeah, like, one of the things I've been seeing a lot more recently is, since the games are so heavily focused on this early game, not this game in particular, because this game has been going for quite a while, but since the games tend to be focused really on the early game, you actually see a lot of supports not picking up Sightstone until they've already upgraded their normal item. Because Sightstone doesn't really give any stats in lane, and if you lose a lane, it's going to be really hard for you to come back.
Alrighty, they're back at it. Kurosekai finding the Zrot portal. He gets it cleared out. That's a pretty big cooldown. I believe it's like, what, 200 seconds? 150 seconds.
It's a little bit over 2 minutes. So
Yeah, 2.5
once he's used
minutes.
it, if you catch it really early, he can't use it for quite a while.
And we got a Baron set up yet again. They're doing the dance, tangoing a little bit with the wards. Relara, there we go. He's just going to have to jump over the pit. And a lot of vision control on the backside for Space Age Wizards. You'd expect that because they are the red team. But they're advancing that ward lineup, and they've got pretty decent positions from any of the ways that Dreamkillers can get into the pit there. They're gonna find a mid lane turret for themselves. Space Age Wizards, 4 turrets to 5 turrets. They're catching up. The wave is out. It catches Kurosekai. Stark is in the back line doing what he can. Captain Stevie's just kind of wandering around, waiting for the ideal time to go. He finds Kuro and N- together, but there's absolutely zero follow-up. Strathghost is going to try to burn down what he can with the ultimate. Relar is going solo. He's zoned off the side. Deadbeat is going to die. He's in the bubble. Strath finds a kill. It has to flash away from Flipsa. Wilson Jones doing a beautiful job of peeling for his team and setting up these initiations. The bubble catches N-. That's what they want, but Relara will be there to block it, but he is just more fodder for the cannon. That is the Dream Killers.
I was going to say, until Relara got caught out there, that was a good trade. They lose Deadbeat, and while Deadbeat is very valuable, he does a lot of damage, they got rid of Zarg, and Zarg is a really tanky frontliner who they haven't really been able to deal with until recently. So, trading up until that happened. This is Drag 5, though.
Yeah, this is Dragon 5. Dreamkillers might be misplaying by not positioning around this earlier. There's a beautiful get from Flipsa, and he finds the dragon with actually his Dragon Strike. Funny, he kills a dragon with Dragon Strike. Does that mean it's like borderline cannibalism? Kurosekai might be caught out by Scholar. Make It Rain will slow him down, but he's not able to catch up even though he's strutting with a red buff. He wasn't able to get into attack range, but that means that the Dreamkillers have so many options right now. 50 seconds on N-, their main source of wave clear. This is probably going to be an inhibitor going over to the Dreamkillers unless they make some drastic mistake here. But at this point, it's going to be really hard for Space Age Wizards to stop them. Deadbeat's coming in from the backside. He's flying in with the home guards. He misses the carrot, but the inhibitor is already downed to the Dreamkillers. There's a massive wave building in the mid lane as well, but they're not making the rotation for it. They want to vie for Baron is what it looks like. Sark going around that side to search for the wards.
That's probably the best idea, though, and if you're noticing, the death timers are getting really long at this point. N- died before that fight even started on that inhibitor turret, and he still hasn't respawned yet. At this point, anytime the team gets completely wiped, the game could end. Both teams have a lot of tankness on them, both teams have a lot of tower damage on them, so we'll have to see how that goes in a second here. Baron fight going to be breaking out soon. Kuro going to burst down this really fast.
Yeah, side wave pressure in the favor of Space Age Wizards, but Scholar doing what he can to turn that around. Deadbeat does have teleport. He was just revealed on one of the blue wards that he just killed over by the blue buff. So that's given more information to Strathghost. He's able to base, pick up, I believe, his... I want to say his Void Staff, because he's had everything else before then.
Alright, well, I'll comment on it now because Scholar just picked it up. He just upgraded his own Last Whisper into a Lord Dominic's Regards, so we'll see how much more value he gets out of that. I am happy, because if you look at the people on his team, he has about a little under 2,000 health, right? So Deadbeat has 500 more health than him. Flipsa has way more than 500 health than him. N- has 500 more health than him. And Relara has 500 more health than him. So 4 out of 5 members on the team are taking 15% bonus damage from Scholar's ultimate.
It was pretty crucial in that Wombo situation.
It was already almost killing them.
And honestly, Strathghost hasn't even lined up his final spark with much of the Wombos yet. And not like down-talking him or anything, but like you're saying, they've got so much more damage that Space Age Wizards needs to respect when it comes to this Wombo. Kuro is way down the mid lane. He's going to be late if a fight breaks out in the top lane. This could be a really good positioning for the Dream Killers. And fighting near this turret locks them into a pretty tight corridor, so Space Age Wizards going to have to keep in mind to spread out here.
And bot side is pushing in right now. They do have supers pushing against them, so Space Age Wizards are going to be in a really bad spot here. That cannon minion is going to get a few auto attacks in because of that rather annoying banner of command stopping it. You get this drop portal here that's going to do a lot of damage if it manages to actually hit that turret. It's going to keep this wave pushed up until they manage to get to it.
That's going to be an... Oh, yeah, it doesn't get affected by magic damage. You have to auto-attack it, but it's going to go down pretty quickly to the entire team. It's bought the Dreamkillers a few moments on this Baron. There's still a ward left in the pit. They have been unable to, well, sweep out as far as we can tell. Wow, Space Age Wizard's very aware of what's going on. Here's the teleport, like Deck was predicting. It's going to zone him off, but Captain Stevie has matched it. Deadbeat is slowed down by a binding. Captain Stevie looking for the perfect combo. That's 4 people. Kurosekai has to drop the rest of it, but it might not be enough. There comes the light binding. Strapdos picks up the snipe. Flipso is dead on the backside. Captain Stevie is still alive in the backline. Zark is the next contender. The spooky ghosts are out. Wilson Jones trying to catch him for his team. Scholar is on the strut. She is on the run. She wants to get a kill. Deadbeat is out of mana. He is essentially useless in this next fight. And Minus, it might be their saving grace in zoning them off the Baron, but that's going to be a tough, risky task for him to uptake, so Relara will give him some support. But this Baron is being burned down pretty quickly by the Dreamkillers. And if this is it, they might be able to get it. Let's see if Zark can hit the smite. 2,000 HP, 1,000 HP. He gets the smite. There was 70 HP left on the Baron. That was so close.
Now, I will say that it was unfortunate. Zark, in that fight, he got ignited really early. He used his ultimate, and he took a whole lot of damage. Now, Strathagos, mostly by luck, I noticed he started channeling that in the middle of Kuro's ultimate, but the Final Spark did manage to kill Kuro. He did not have vision of him at the time. That's why I say it was kind of lucky. So he didn't actually know that Kuro was in it and it was going to run out soon. But overall, not really much getting traded over. They do now have Baron. They have Baron with Strahd Portal, with Banner of Command. So
gosh, that's just so mean. And Kuro's a pretty short-range AD carry. Although he does have hypermobility in that zone, he has to get so close to clear these waves, and that's going to be very difficult for N- to keep up with.
The worst part about this, though, is the only person who can deal with that cannon minion in range is N-.
And it's bannered.
And it's bannered, so he can't actually
kill him. Beautiful setup for the Dreamkillers right now. They have orchestrated this siege comp pretty dang well in terms of countering out the builds of the Space Age Wizards. Neither team wants to go too ham for this turret. They're going to let these Baron minions do their dirtiest to it. It's going to go down very shortly. Relara jumping in with the shield to try to zone him off, but that's the turret going down to Space Age Wizards. Relara is caught. A nice knock up. The wave is going right in between the uprights. However, N- is still on the back doing as much damage as he can. Reb's Respite is down. Captain Stevie is so tanky right now. Final Spark dodged out by Deadbeat. A beautiful one from him. But that's going to be the inhibitor going over to the Dreamkillers. They don't even need kills at this point. They might be able just to flex their muscles at these turrets enough. This could be the first game going over to the Dreamkillers. The carrot's down, but it's on the rock. It's not the target they were looking for. Flipso's in the back lines along with Deadbeat, trying to do what he can. Scholar's going so low. The Zanyas from Deadbeat, they're circling around him. They want to kill him, and it's going to happen. Wilson Jones gets the credit for that kill.
It's going to be the slow and steady win here. Managing to lose Captain Stevie, but once again, they traded for Deadbeat, so everything's okay. They did manage to get the inhibitor and the inhibitor turret, taking those down rather quickly. Bottom inhibitor has respawned. There's a huge wave pushing for Space Age Wizards, but unfortunately, Zark is going to be on his way to probably deal with that. It'll be gone relatively quickly. This would be the best time to fight. They need to deal with this now.
Dark is doing what he can to zone off Kurosekai. Wilson Jones, Strathgos, and Scholar are right behind him. The wave hits too, but Relara has a beautiful shield which blocks it, but it also costs him his life simultaneously. Flipso's gonna flag and drag to safety, and him and Kurosekai will limp out wounded. However, they are zoned off of the 5th dragon. Dreamkiller's gonna pick up their 3rd of the game, delaying that inevitable timer yet again. Super minions in the top wave, pushing for them alongside the Zerat portal. N- and Kuro delegated to the wave clear as of now. Dreamkiller's making their way around the map. They're walking fast. They're going for the inhibitor in the bottom lane.
You may as well go for it, right? Because Stevie has teleport and Deadbeat only just respawned, so The top side is going to keep pushing in. It does still have that drop portal there, so the wave is still going to keep pushing unless you push out and kill the drop portal.
And they still... Oh, it just expired, actually, but it's back off a cooldown again if Sark wants to just drop it right here in front of it, just for a little extra pressure if he wants to. But Dreamkillers looks like they're backing off right now. Space Age Wizards trying to do what they can to scrounge the last bit of resources up before this fight. They need to keep the waves pressed back, otherwise them falling back to the one Nexus turret is not going to be enough to stop the massive front line. The spooky ghosts are out, but that's really just to give them a scare. Ooh, nice little binding from Strathghost, dishing out some damage. And they're already pushing in. Sark and Captain Stevie on the front lines. They're going for the fight. Laura doing what he can, but it might not be enough. Wilson Jones caught around the wrong side of the wall. His bubble goes wide. Flipsa is in the back line. He captures Strathghost inside a death chamber with Deadbeat, but he just can't do enough damage. Scholar's got the bullet time, it's down! Deadbeat's still in the back line, he has not died yet, the Zoni is out, and Minus's egg is about to be cracked. It is scrambled and they are eating it tonight. However, Captain is flashing onto Kuro. They're trying to do what he can. Kuro is out of luck here. That's going to be the inhibitor for the Dreamkillers. That's a Nexus turret being pounded on by two of the minions that are supersized. Deadbeat is going around trying to do what he can. Flips on them trying to stop it, but Dreamkillers are going straight for the Nexus. They don't even care about the kills. They're trying to cut the head off of the Cerberus. And that looks like it will be the game for the Dreamkillers. In this best-of-3 series, they secure the first win.
Well, probably shouldn't pick a Fizz in a team comp that doesn't really want to dive.
Alrighty, folks, that action-packed game took quite a while. We're going to try to get this next one started up ASAP. Just stick around, we'll have it for you. The second match between the Dreamkillers and Space Age Wizards.